owner of a supplement brand focused on sleep, energy, and cognitive health and inflammation. So there we go. That's covered a lot. The question is specifically about the headline.
Okay.
It's compelling to get someone to, so apparently the call to action is to get someone to watch the VSL, and then anything that could be, you know, just the lead-in part, just the open here. So again, if we scroll down a little, what we're trying to do, I don't know if it actually finished here.
I seem to recall this got a lot better when the further down you got, right? Whereas the headline was just sort of a mishmash of, you know, for anyone laying in bed in the middle of the night, unable to fall back asleep, the deep sleep solution. Okay. New report, 85% of sleeping problems may be caused by low levels of this bliss molecule. I mean, you're leaving it to me to figure out that the solution is to get higher levels of the bliss molecule, right? It's kind of like, I got to work kind of hard to figure this out. And then I've got to think about laying in bed in the middle of the night, unable to fall back asleep. Well, what if I have trouble falling asleep in the first place? Is this for me, right? Is this only for people that have trouble falling back asleep? Like why, you know, why limit your audience? Why disqualify people right up front? And, you know, the deep sleep solution, like, why is it the deep sleep solution? What is the deep sleep is different from being able to fall back asleep. Deep sleep is, you know, a different thing, right? If your sleep is too light, if you're not getting into REM cycle or whatever. Like, I think it just needs, maybe I would try a little more focus on the mechanism, right? The bliss molecule is a little bit, that's a little bit more mental health, right? Which I realize is kind of connected to sleep. But again, you're leaving it to me to make that connection. Oh, if I have more bliss molecule, I'll feel more blissful. People who are more blissful, I suppose, can fall asleep easier and go into deep sleep easier. I'm just hypothesizing, right? But you don't want your audience hypothesizing. You want it to just be really clear, right? You know, this specific thing is causing you to not, your sleep switch isn't clicking on. This thing makes it click on, right? It needs to be that kind of brain dead, simple. You look at it and you go, I better read this. This looks like it could be something new, right? Whereas a deep sleep solution and, you know, you got low levels of a bliss molecule, that doesn't seem new to me. That's very, you know, easy to ignore. So when you're thinking about a headline, create a headline. I mean, I know it's making it sound easy, but create a headline that's impossible to ignore, right? What would be a headline that's impossible to ignore, right? You know, like new Harvard study shows that, you know, there's this sleep switch hidden in your brain that can be activated by this, you know, newly discovered chemical or something. I mean, that's not a very good headline, but I've got to read that, right? Because it's new and I feel it. It feels new. Whereas this feels like one more person trying to hype something based on you don't have enough of this, you know, and if you have more of this, you won't have this problem anymore. And as I say, I think some of the, you know, the thing about the Amazon, you know, plant discovered in the Amazon, you know, a headhunter in Amazon discovers the sleep plant, right? I've never seen anyone talk about a sleep plant, right? The Amazon natives to call this the sleep plant, right? Like, don't take it before you operate heavy machinery because you'll fall asleep, right? Like they wouldn't let they wouldn't let tribal members take it before they had to work in the fields because they would all fall asleep, right? And then it was discovered by this guy. He went there and he's like, why are they, you know, whatever. And they were like, oh, that's the sleep plant, you know, keep away from there. It'll put you to sleep. And he was like, whoa, I want it, right? People back in America have trouble falling asleep. You know, like that's an interesting story and an interesting thing, right? And why does the sleep plant work? Well, scientists discovered it boosts levels of this thing, which, you know, you need to fall asleep, and it's new and different. And we're the only ones who have it.
but the idea, like you kind of danced over, like the bliss molecule and sleep, there's a disconnect there. It's just, and I'm totally putting you on the spot here, David. If you had a client, someone came to you with like, all right, David, I'm sure bliss molecule, I like the name, bliss molecule. Like, what do you do with things like that? Like, well, okay, that's a bit abstract. And this is one of the things that it may be the thing you're best at, is like coming up with a creative, or what's another way, either to toss it or to explain how the bliss molecule puts me
And
to
if I
sleep.
was stuck with the bliss molecule,
Yeah, I was just starting, like, for the sake of this time, like, what if they just won't let it go? It's because it's the bliss molecule, and just, you have the client challenge.
I
How do
think,
you deal with there's a long walk between the intrigue thing and that directly tying to a benefit, in my mind.
I think you have to acknowledge the disconnect in a certain way, right? Scientists, shocked scientists discover, I don't know about a headline exactly, right? But that scientists were shocked to discover that the reason you're not falling asleep is because you're not happy enough, right? You don't have enough of something that's called a bliss molecule, right? And so your brain fights, right? You're going to sleep. And they were shocked to discover that just by elevating the amount of this bliss molecule, people, all of a sudden their insomnia vanished. Like, I would look for something like that, either a person or a study where they were trying to improve people's mental health and they upped the levels of this thing. And a side effect was that they were falling asleep more readily, right? I mean, that would be my ideal, would be to have that. But if you don't have that, I would at least talk about it in that same way. Like, this is shocking. This is new, right? We think not falling asleep is melatonin, right? Has nothing to do with melatonin. Or, you know why your body doesn't produce melatonin? Because you're not happy enough. Happy people produce more melatonin. And how do you become more happy? You have more of the bliss molecule. So not only will you fall asleep more, it's like one of those double benefit things, right? Like research for weight loss, right? You'll lose weight and it'll be easier for you to fall asleep. This is similar. It'll be easier for you to sleep and you'll be happier. Like, what a great thing. Melatonin doesn't make you happy. We will make you happy and cure your insomnia at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, this, like, I always find fascinating the way you stitched. Yeah, I realizing you're working rapidly without a net here, so not what you would have put into the final ad, but just how you start to go through the steps. Like, okay, if I let, like, and it's a story, right? That's all you did was you just tried to create a connective story.
Right.
That now I have to know more about the bliss molecule, or I'm curious about the bliss molecule. Where just in the headline, that was just a Hail Mary that I'm going to have that's going to land with me or anybody. I'm just the person who might be a buyer of this product. But if you can, finesse it or tell me why I care, which doesn't take, you're not explaining it all to me, just tell me more about why I care about it up top, then the lead has done its job. It has brought the prospect in.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, we're taking advantage of the disconnect that you felt about the bliss molecule, right? We're saying, yeah, that's surprising, right? But what a great thing it is. What's his name was right. Who's the guy? Don't worry, be happy. like he was right. Don't worry, be happy, fall asleep.
Sure.
Yes. But good stuff. I mean, good stuff in the body copy. I love, I liked a lot of the body copy, as I said. So.
Right. Move that up. That's
yeah.
So often the advice, right? You cleared your head in the first page.